Hi, I'm Dr. Lenny Favar here at Central Christian College of Kansas, and I'm a member of the Social Science Department here. Now, I will not be your facilitator for this class, but I am one of the subject matter experts that was used to write the course. And I thought that it might be good just to take a moment to introduce myself and also to introduce you to this course. The name of the course is Current World Problems. It's a great course, very interesting course. It's actually one of those courses that affects every one of us, at least in some way. Now, I'll be honest, a lot of the material is probably stuff that you hear more on the news or maybe during like the presidential debates or your local debates with politicians. I mean, a lot of this stuff is pretty heady material, but hear me now. It affects every one of us. And sometimes it's actually frustrating because you'll be watching the news or hearing these discussions and people will be throwing around these words and phrases and thoughts that sounds like, wow, I need a college degree to understand what's going on. Well, guess what? You're getting a college degree, so we need to help you understand the issues. Every issue that we're going to talk about directly affects you. Now, again, honestly, most of the time, I'm just worried about, am I going to have enough money to pay the groceries this week? How am I going to pay off my college tuition? And so these big ideas sometimes seem so big that maybe I shouldn't worry about them. But as people who interact with culture every day, I think these are issues that we need to familiarize ourselves with as much as possible. So we're going to introduce you to these issues like economics and healthcare throughout the world, prejudice and stereotypes that exist all around the globe. And you'll have a chance to interact with those things. Now, I will tell you this. There's some trepidation in some people about dealing with these subjects because honestly, we all have different perspectives. I mean, some of our perspectives come because of our worldview, maybe perhaps our religious leanings, some of them because of our political leanings. And these are issues that we're going to talk about that are directly affected by these thoughts and these perspectives. And so I want to kind of caution you ahead of time that this is a class that you're going to need to be careful about expressing your ideas and thoughts. Now, hear me out. We want to hear them. We want to hear every thought and what your perspective is, but we want to be careful that in the sharing of our perspectives, that we respect the perspectives of other people around us. So during class, you're going to be asked from time to time to share your thoughts. Now, please share them freely. Just be careful that when you're talking about the thoughts of others, that you deal with the subject and not deal with the person behind the subject. It's kind of interesting. In sociological theory, we talk there's three main ways that people deal with conflict, which is an issue that could occur because of your perspectives in this class. I'm going to write each of these down, and let's talk about them for just a moment. The first is called a traditional view. The traditional view of conflict. In the traditional view of conflict, and this is the way most people perceive conflict, conflict is a bad thing. It's terrible. We must avoid it at all costs. I mean, God did not create us to have conflict. And so as much as possible, what we try to do is avoid conflict. You might be this kind of person if you feel that conflict is coming. They call it being a turtle. You stick your head in your shell and try to avoid it, or you run away from conflict as much as possible. So if someone in class were to share a perspective that's different than yours, suddenly you'll be like, oh no, I can't share anything because I don't want to disagree. I don't want to cause any problems. That's the traditional view of conflict. There's another view of conflict called the human relations. See, once you see my handwriting, now you know why it's better not to be in live class. But anyway, this is called human relations. It's the second view of conflict. This is the idea that, you know what? God created people, and people argue. It's just going to happen. You remember that song, Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world, red and yellow, black and white, put them together and watch them fight. Jesus loves the little children of the world. It's based on that the idea that when you put two people in a room, because they are two individual people, conflict may occur. And so let's control for it. If it's going to happen, let's make it as nice as possible so at least we can all get along. That's the big point. Tolerance. Let's be tolerant of one another. That is one view. Here's a third view, though. It's called the interactionist. The interactionist view of conflict. The interactionist view of conflict, which I'll just let you know as the writer of your material, this is my view. And this is the view that conflict is awesome. It's great. It's wonderful. It's based on it's a scriptural idea. You go back to the Old Testament, and the Bible talks about iron sharpening iron. If you're going to be sharp, you have to take two pieces of iron and you rub them together, and it's in that rubbing together that sharpness occurs. Now, if you have a kitchen knife and you need to sharpen it, you don't take it out and go to your goose down feather pillow in your room and start rubbing that knife against the pillow. Because if you do that, you'll be there forever and the knife is never going to get sharp. It's only when two rough objects come together and rub against one another that sharpness occurs. So the interactionist view is the idea that if we're going to improve as a people, if we're going to improve as a class, if I'm going to improve as a person, that I actually might sometimes have to seek out levels of conflict so that I can rub my ideas up against other people's ideas, and by doing that, I actually sharpen my thinking. And so in writing your curriculum, I kind of took an interactionist approach to the curriculum. So I've asked some questions that you're going to work with as a class that may create a little bit of conflict. And again, don't worry about it. Say what your ideas are. Share your perspectives. But again, just be careful in sharing them, that you're sharing your perspectives. And if somebody else disagrees with you or you disagree with someone else, share your disagreement. Just don't belittle the person as you're dealing with their idea. And I think by doing that, it'll be great. Now, let me also take a moment just to let you know, the book, the text for this course, it's pretty heady. I mean, current world problems, like I said before, deals with all kinds of thoughts and phrases a lot of these newscasters and politicians know about. I want you to understand, we're asking you to capture the big picture. We want you to get the big ideas here. So it's not that important to me that you memorize every word or understand every historical event that caused the issues that we're going to deal with. The idea is capture the big ideas. You may want to, and I found this helpful in my own studies, just take a notebook. And as you're reading through, if there's an idea or a word or a thought that you don't understand, write it down and continue on with your studies. Then you can go back and define it using the textbook, or maybe do some online research, or even ask your facilitator, can you tell me more about like microfinance? What is microfinance? Is that like little finances? I need to know more about that. And so do that, and I think that'll help you as you move through your material. Again, the assessment at the end of each week is going to help you understand some of the key concepts that we want to pull away from the material. And then lastly, Central Christian College is part of the Free Methodist Church in North America. Part of our heritage is dealing with the issue of freedom. It's actually, when you hear the word free, or the phrase Free Methodist Church, the word free comes from the idea that as a church, earlier when we started, we worked towards freedom of slavery, freedom of women, freedom of worship, a lot of issues trying to free people. And so a large part of our focus is dealing with things like freedom, and specifically the issue of abolition. And so during this curriculum, you're going to have a special 6-week assignment that's going to go for each week, and you're going to deal with the issue of freedom and slavery, modern day slavery. A lot of people think slavery is just a historical event. I should be studying this in history class. What does it have to do with current world problems? But I'm going to show you over the next few weeks that slavery, modern day slavery, is alive and doing all too well in modern society. And so we're going to look at that specific issue in ways that we can help out in modern day abolition. So I invite you to enjoy that. If you have questions about it, be sure to contact your facilitator, and he or she will help you as we move through this course. So again, welcome to Current World Problems. We wish you the best. We'll be praying for you as you move through this class. Thanks again.